In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, Stephen Michael Bickey lighting up the way. Abnormal investigations, whispers in the trees. With boots on the ground, I'm chasing mysteries. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. I'm on the ancient woods, where legends come alive. I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. Footsteps on the trail, echoes in the night, searching for the secrets hidden from the light. Cryptids roam the wild under the moon's embrace. With every rustle in the leaves, I feel their haunting grace. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. Among the ancient woods, where legends come alive, I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. Each night a new adventure in the depths of the unknown. With passion in my heart, I'll walk this path alone. But with every discovery, I know I'm not afraid. For in the woods of wonder, true wonders are made. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the heart.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wide Open Abnormal Investigations. I've been working on Wide Open today, if you can't tell. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. We've got a good show set up for you guys tonight. Going to do just a little bit of a roll call here real quick. Let me see here if we can pull this up out of the way. Let me go ahead and let's throw Lisa on here also while we do the roll call so we can welcome everybody into the show tonight. Good to see you, Lisa. Lisa, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Hello, everybody.
Ready to get at it, huh?
I'm ready.
Hello, Karen Palmer. Karen Palmer, is there a way that I can get a hold of you by chance? Can you email me or reach out to me on Facebook? Or is there a way that I could talk to you? We tried to find you today, but was unable to. We need to get a hold of you. Um, if you could email me at abnormalinvestigations77@gmail.com. Or if you have a Facebook page, you can find me under Mike McKee. Hello, Corey. Good to see you. Keith, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you. Good to see everybody in here. Nanny Pam's in here tonight. Hello, Nanny Pam. Uh, Keith Blunt's in here tonight. Good to see you, Keith. I don't know if I said Keith or not. I probably did. I have a bad habit of calling people out. T-Bone's good. Tina, good to see you. Glad you was able to make it tonight. Tina's becoming one of our very well-known names that shows up into the chat tonight. And Lisa C, hello, good to see you. Karen Palmer said, okay. It's nothing bad, Karen, I promise. So there's Sharon Arms, good to see you. Puck Wudgie's in here tonight. Good to see you, Puck Wudgie. Herbert is here tonight. Good to see you, Herbert. Hey, a voice with the Lisa, good to hear you. Jim to the wild blue yonder. Good to see you. Lisa, he might know you. I don't know. Or he knows another Lisa, maybe. I'm not sure. Blue Biddy, good to see you. Oh, man, we got a lot of faces in here tonight, Lisa. Everybody's excited to hear this investigation, which I will admit, this one is a good one tonight. It's got a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
I did find something that I have heard no other podcast talk about while investigating this case. Tim Wrestler, good to see you. I actually did. I have not heard the third party that I was able to find when I investigated it that was actually linked to it and was looked at as a potential part of the case. And I don't think anybody else has talked about that. Have you heard anybody talk about that?
No, I haven't.
Well, tonight you're going to get to hear it from
All right.
your one and only right here, guys. You nerve-wracking people. But yeah, guys, we're going to talk about some things I've never heard about in this case. Sunshine. I tried to talk to you all day today, Sunshine. Didn't you show up right now? Really? I'm going to rag on you from the beginning of this show right now. You better get your stuff in order. I'm in trouble now. But yeah, guys, I found some aspects to this case that I have never heard any podcaster talk about. And I honestly, Lisa, I ran onto it by accident. Well, when I seen that it was in there, I wondered. I was like, I wonder if that's part of it. And when I started going down the rabbit hole, I was like, oh my God, it is part of it. So, yeah. So what do you think about it? What do you think? What did you find, and what is your first initial thoughts on this case before we jump right into it? What did you think?
Well, I feel really bad for the family because I totally believe them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a hard thing to have to deal with.
Right.
You know?
I think so. Scared Silly, good to see you.
I think they had to move eventually, didn't they?
Ooh, I don't know. Sounds like you found some things I didn't.
Oh.
Okay.
I think they did, yes.
Wow. So, So, do you think, now, and just between me and you, do you think this happens more than most people talk about?
I think definitely it does.
Yeah.
Yep. I think a lot of people are afraid of what other people might think if they speak about it or report it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think a lot.
Do you think it was a siege?
I do. Yes, I do.
You think these people were
Um,
actually under attack by these creatures? Bigfoot, Sasquatch?
um, yes, because I actually looked up the definition of a siege and the difference between that and an invasion, like in military terms, and it definitely crossed the line into a siege because an invasion is all about conquering territory. They weren't trying to take over the house and, you know, like the Three Little Bears and go in there and sleep on the beds, right? They were
So they went,
trying to disrupt their very um, escape, their access to food. Um,
so that
uh,
they wasn't there to occupy.
right, right. They were attacking and assaulting and
Right.
attempting entry, terrorizing the family. So it did cross the line
Eh,
into
You
what you
know,
would call a siege, I
and I
believe.
think a lot of what they went through too is a kind of a lot of what I talked to you before the show the other day, and I said I almost feel like I went through a siege at my granny's. That I never thought of it that way until now. But was that a
I think you're
siege?
absolutely right. Yep, I agree.
It's made me wonder. It was that a siege because it kind of felt like it. I mean, it was
Well, you're pretty
scary,
much held hostage. You had to be in at a certain time. You had to barricade, close the windows, and yeah, they were basically holding you hostage because you were not free to leave. You know,
and you were kind of living by their rules, right, on your property. It's like
it,
you
mhm.
know, you have to be in at a certain time. You got to have the windows covered at a certain time. The locks have to be done at a certain time. The door has to be locked at a certain.
Right. It changed your life. You had to adapt to them.
Right,
So,
right, exactly. Sharon, Guy, I left y'all a message before the show, so feel free to reach out, to whoever you feel you need to. Um, I've got Karen Palmer should be contacting me, so I have reached out to her, or the best way that we can talk to her, maybe. So as we everybody, if I don't see your chat now, it's because I've minimized my screen to pull up my notes. I don't write mine down. I type them.
haha. I'm old school. That's the way
uh,
I do it.
oh, I did that for a long time at the kitchen table. People used to say, "Oh, he's got his notebook." But as the page grew, I had to catch up with the times. It was like, oh my god, this is never going to work. This is never going to work. Let me make sure we got everything going right here for the moment. Okay, all right, so we're good. Uh, so, is there anything you want to say before we start jumping into this case?
Um, no, I guess not.
Okay, there's a
Um,
few there's a few things through here that I'm going to really hit hard on, uh, but it just reminded me of a lot of things. So, jumping into this, guys, uh, the primary resident of this property that this Bigfoot siege happened on was Tim Humphreys. He would have been the primary resident. Now, the date that all this started, it started in the fall of 1999, which, if you think about it, it's really not that long ago, right? Hello, Andrew. Good to see you. The age group that either witnessed or was involved as far as witnesses to this, from what I could find, was between the ages of 30 and 40 years old. Um, so whenever you look at the victim slash witnesses, what we have is we have Michael Humphreys. It was Tim's brother who originally contacted researchers about the events. You have Roger Roberts, a veteran private investigator and volunteer with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, the BFRO, who assisted the family. You have Randall Wright, a local logger in Honobia, who also reported seeing large tracks in the area. And then you have Tim Humphreys, the primary resident who claimed to have shot at a Bigfoot in the woods behind his home and may have allegedly hit it. So anything you'd like to add, Lisa, before we get out of it? Did I miss any names or anything?
Those were the BFRO reports. Is that right?
Pretty much what I was doing, just summing up everybody that was involved, pretty much, that's going to be involved in it.
Hmm. Yeah, I found 5 reports, like what you're talking about, um, within 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And one thing I wanted to add is that the story that you did about the Jamesons,
Uh-huh.
um, what was it? Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison, that happened just about 40 miles north of where this happened in
Okay.
2009.
So let me get this 2009, and then that's interesting. And it was only 40 miles north?
Yes,
Who was north? Jameson's or?
the Jamesons. Uh-huh.
Hmm, that's interesting.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that it was in pretty close proximity,
Right.
and the fact that they reported that they were being harassed by things on their roof. You remember them reporting demons, I think it was, on their
Yeah.
roof,
Yeah, he was trying to get the bullets blessed so that he would be able to shoot the demons off of the roof.
right? Well, this whole area is known for stories of all kinds of things. Um, Bigfoot, little people, I found, especially by members of the Choctaw Nation that go back centuries. Um,
Is that's a lot of native land down there then, right?
yes, yes, the Choctaw Nation from Honobia is about 43 miles, I think it was north. It'd be northwest of Honobia.
So that whole area down there is a pretty active area.
Yes, it is, and
Hmm.
they had reports of glimmering figures in the trees,
I
forest
think
spirits,
I think
little
we've seen
people.
we've seen the glimmering things, on the boots on the ground.
Yeah, we have. You're right.
That's interesting. Blue Biddy says it's
Yeah,
definitely active.
very active. Whole area.
Hmm. So the synopsis that I have on this is uh, the siege of Honobia refers to a series of incidents in January of 2000 also, where the royal family in Honobia, Oklahoma experienced repeated disturbances from a creature believed to be Bigfoot, including food theft and attempts to enter their home. The family reported feeling terrorized, leading to a confrontation where one family member shot either the creature or at the creature. I think that was a little bit debated. Uh,
I think I read something that Matt Moneymaker wrote about, I think before he sent researchers out for
Uh-huh.
the first time, said that he was on the phone with them, interviewing them, and then things got crazy and he actually heard them shooting. So whether they, you know, shot and injured one at that time, I'm not sure, but he said they were definitely shooting at something
Yeah,
and they
because I think,
claimed
yeah,
that
later
it
on,
was the Bigfoot.
don't they say that they believed that one was injured, and they, yeah, we'll get into that. That's going to be a good part too, because they actually do something, guys, that you're not going to expect that a Bigfoot would do. Uh, and it surprised me also. So, in a remote corner of southeastern Oklahoma lies the unincorporated community of Honobia, a place that has been plagued by Bigfoot tales for over a century. Nestled in the water-rich public backwoods at the lower regions, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, but the how's that pronounced? The Ouachita? Is that right, or am I saying it wrong?
Washita,
Ouachita
yes. Hmm.
Mountains. This area is steeped in Bigfoot mythology. It's no surprise that the Humphreys family, who purchased a property in the area in 1997, found themselves at the center of one of the most shocking and violent Bigfoot events to ever happen in Bigfoot history, which just happened to happen in Oklahoma. So I thought that was really interesting. Oklahoma has one of the best and most intriguing and up close encounters. Is my speaker? Am I going in and out? Somebody said I'm going in and out.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Uh, so it's pretty amazing. Oklahoma has one of the biggest, you know, sieges, which doesn't surprise me because Oklahoma is a very big hot spot, and I think a lot more people are starting to realize that now that Oklahoma, I believe, just between what I know about Oklahoma, what I have experienced, and what I've been looking up and reading, and some of the research that I've been doing, I would place Oklahoma in the top three, probably top three states within the United States. Uh,
Yeah, I agree. You're probably right about that.
Oklahoma has a
Very
lot of,
active.
yeah, and we're not even covering the creatures that they're talking about that's in our lakes and waterways here in Oklahoma that attribute to a lot of what they believe unalived people. We haven't even touched on that.
Right.
So, I think Oklahoma is a pretty hot spot. Um, so,
It's
another,
active now, but it also has a long history of
yeah, it's like
activity.
it's like they never, it's like they were always here and they never left. But
Right.
Oklahoma has a lot of water in Oklahoma. Oklahoma has a lot of swamp land, have a lot of creeks and rivers and lakes, man-made lakes. They have a lot of different terrains, if you would.
Well, right around this area that this happened, there's a lot of wetlands,
Right, right.
conservation um, management areas, and with a lot of water as well.
They. It always seems that it has something to do with water. That seems to be very prevalent in these attacks. It's either a person is left in a ditch, a waterway, a lake. There always seems to be water involved, no matter where the incident happens. Um, of course, there are so many different, theories out there, arguments to be made as to why why it happens around the water. Is it because they need, you know, water to drink, water to survive? Do they come from the water? Do they follow the water? Do they use the waterways and the creeks as their highways? Is that how they navigate? Do they hunt by the water because they know that eventually things are going to have to come to the water to drink? There's a lot of different arguments, and we're not going to go in that tonight because that would be a
I
whole
think
show on
it's
its
all of
own.
those. It's all of
And
those.
yeah, and it may be the whole pie. But
Hmm.
April says Oklahoma has 12 different ecosystems in Oklahoma. So
Wow.
that's quite a different. There's a lot of different things going on here in Oklahoma that would support a lot of different, possible animals or creatures, right? Uh,
Yes, I agree.
so the siege of Honobia began in the fall of 1999 when the Humphreys brothers began to experience a series of bizarre and savage occurrences on their property. At first, they assumed that poachers were to blame for the disappearance of 5 deer carcasses and over 30 chickens. But when the brothers started hearing strange howls, screams, and hammering against their front door, they knew that something more sinister was probably at play. So, I went through that growing up to where they would beat on, my granny's house and rattle the doorknobs. And uh,
Right. Hmm.
so, one of the things that I was wondering is how did it initially start out? That was one of the questions I had when I first started investigating this case because I had looked back and noticed that they had bought the property in 97, but there was no mention of it until 99. So there was
Right.
two,
I think I read that they had been there for 2 years before everything started.
right.
So that makes sense.
That was really interesting to me too because it was like whatever was bothering them hadn't been there this whole time. It makes you wonder what happened that attracted them. And whenever they did attract them, what were some of the first initial things that started happening, not only for that case, but to help people out in the future? So if they start hearing these small things, what's attracting them? What can we avoid doing? And it didn't just really necessarily start out from what I found as just they were just busting in the house. When I went back and I looked into the initial activity, I found that the Tim Humphreys began hearing unusual high pitched screams in the woods surrounding his mountain homestead. And whenever that started happening, they kind of blew it off. But how many people, you know, hear these things out, in the wild, and we blow it off? I mean, I've heard things that I probably should have paid more attention to and blew it off. And, you're just like, mm, you know, maybe it was a cow or, a
Right.
coyote or, it was a bird, or it was a kid down the road yelling. You always try to rationalize it, right?
I think most people do because they don't want to believe what it might be.
You know, you talked about this and I talked about this earlier, and I think that we did find one common mistake that the Humphrey family made. And I don't believe they made it on purpose to attract the Sasquatch, but I do believe it was purposely done to attract deer, right?
Exactly.
So
Right.
is it your belief, you think, that what they were doing to attract the deer ended up essentially attracting the Bigfoot to their property?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to
Yeah.
let you kind of explain to the people what they done, and then I'll take it from there because I have a few things to add to that.
Well, I read that they, now I don't know if it was like a garden size or if they were commercial farmers. I believe they were on 40 acres, weren't they? So I don't know how much of a garden they had, but they did plant a certain type of peas. I believe they were Swedish peas, is what I read. But the deer loved eating these peas. Okay, and so they planted them, I believe, they said on purpose to attract the deer because they wanted to be able to hunt from the porch, which is exactly what they did.
Right.
Once the deer came for the peas to eat the peas, um, they could hunt from the porch. And I think that, there's likely game trails and corridors, probably well established, you know, for a very long time before they moved there, that likely the Bigfoot hunted along those game trails for these deer. But the deer were being attracted to these people's homestead because of what they planted. But I think they planted them on purpose, and I think that disrupted the Bigfoot's hunting plans. So I think that's really what kicked it off, is that they were following the deer, but the deer were being drawn to their homestead, which is probably not their normal, what they normally, where they normally would be.
Do you think it's possible also that instead of changing their natural movement, game trails and stuff, do you think maybe it became a competition for food also?
Oh, yes, I think so.
That they were,
Because of the fact that they were, well, I don't know if they have proof, but once all this started happening and they started hearing the screams from the woods, um, they had an outbuilding with a freezer full of deer,
right?
and it started going missing. So,
Yeah, because
and which is kind of interesting to me because, you know, from what I know, you know, they would kill the deer, they would eat certain organs,
right,
or but to steal frozen deer meat that they couldn't eat at least right away, and they stole it all. Is what I read, and
yeah,
it was a big freezer full. So
they
I think it was about survival and food,
right,
and
yeah, because they weren't just taking like little packages of meat. I looked it up, and they actually took complete quarters of deer. Three
right.
deer. I think three deer they took at one time, and
Hmm.
they continued coming back, helping themselves from the freezer.
Right.
Uh, so I kind of wondered maybe the Bigfoot had laid claim to this meat. Hey, that's our deer. That's the herd that we follow. That's our survival, and you know, and of course we don't
Right.
know. I mean, the Bigfoot could have been eating those peas because I did a little research on those peas, and those peas are very bountiful when you plant them, and they're also very sweet. They're like a really
Oh.
sweet pea.
Hmm.
So I could see Bigfoot maybe even eating some of that, right?
I would assume, yeah.
I mean, if you can come up to a house and get you some free peas and then grab you some meat, uh,
Right.
I mean, why not? I mean, it's easy for them. They don't have to hunt it, right? So it would be pretty easy. So we know that and what you said, there were Austrian snow peas, right?
Swedish, I believe.
Swedish.
I believe
They
so.
had attracted the deer to the property, and that's essentially whenever they started having trouble with the missing meat. The family would store deer meat in the outdoor. It was a chest freezer. Over time, they noticed that large amounts of meat, including even 3 complete quarters of the deer, were missing without any explanation. And the family reported it. This all started 2 years after purchasing. They purchased the property in '97, and then in '99 is whenever they first actually started having these small incidents leading up to 1999. But everything kind of started changing around 2000. That's whenever it really started to pick up, ramp up, and they started to become more aggressive. But there was something that happened, I think, that caused them to become more aggressive. You think?
I'm
The
not
the
sure.
the reason I found that I believe that they became more aggressive is Tim Humphreys had got pretty mad about losing so much deer meat. His family really counted on the deer meat, So
Hmm.
whenever you're losing 3 deers and there's no explanation for it, you're going to get mad. He
Hmm.
first thought it was probably poachers or somebody stealing it, so he locks the freezer. Now we've talked about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever people would like to call them. We have talked about them getting angry over being denied something or told no. It's almost they're a very narcissistic animal, person, fallen angel, whatever people want to call them. I happen to believe they are, part Nephilim, Elion. So, uh, whenever they come down and they're told, no, you can't do this, it reminds me of almost like a 5-year-old being told no. And so they throw a fit and they become more aggressive. They get more violent. They uh, almost like, telling a kid, hey, every day after school, I'm going to buy you an ice cream cone. And then you stop doing it, the kid's going to get mad and he's going to throw a fit. And I
So,
think, go ahead.
so you think the activity ramped up not because the homeowners were drawing their fresh deer, the fresh meat away from where they normally hunted? You think it ramped up because they were denied the free food,
Well,
the
I yeah, I
something they
think
didn't
there
have to work
was.
for?
Well, I think there was more than one piece that probably caused this to ramp up. I think that by planting the peas and drawing them from the screams in the mountains, because it started out with the screams and howls in the mountains.
Right.
I think by planting the peas, that brought the prey, which brought the predators, and I think that brought them to the property. I think then them finding that there was food in the freezer, they were accessing it at that point, but they hadn't really become aggressive. They were, in a sense, at that point, I would say trespassing. They were
Hmm.
a nuisance, and they were thieves. That they were stealing. But as far as being aggressive, trying to enter the home or to harm somebody or something, that hadn't happened yet. But
Right.
it's whenever Tim got aggravated and he went out and he put a lock on the freezer and denied them access to the free food. That's whenever they at the I guess you would say that the aggression would escalate, and they
Hmm.
became pretty agitated, because I mean, he even mentioned, he says the aggression seemed to really spike whenever the creatures were trying to enter my freezer and I placed a lock on it. Well, after he placed a lock on it, on part of what he had stated was the creatures began approaching the house at night after that. The family then reported hearing wall banging, scratching on the windows, and the sounds of doorknobs being jiggled. So that's quite an escalation right there. Thank you so much for that donation, Tim. God bless you for that. But that's a, you know,
I read that there was rocks thrown uh,
yeah,
at the cabin. I read that they were looking in the windows, and um, I read that they had a 3-year-old daughter who was terrorized because she saw one looking in the window. So
yeah.
they were coming right up to the window. I also read that they had broken a window and were taking pieces of the glass out of the window as if they're, you know, trying to gain entry. Um, they were
And that
trying the doorknobs. Yeah.
and that was the little girl's bedroom window. And they also reported that they had witnessed one of the Sasquatch appeared to be trying to communicate with the little girl through the window.
Oh gosh.
So all of a sudden, this, creatures that are stealing your meat are now agitated. They're mad, and they're trying to enter your house. They have now become interested in your 3-year-old daughter, and they've went as far as to they have broken the window now, and they're pulling the glass out. After watching 411 and everything else, a person could only suspect that they were planning on uh, probably an abduction. Uh, you know, I mean,
I mean,
it
then you
kind of
can hardly
goes
blame them, right? That they were trying to defend their home
right,
and shooting at these creatures,
right. And,
because that crosses the line.
right. And do you think that the creatures, and this is just, a theory, we can only speculate. If I'm missing any guys, if I'm missing any of your chat, I can't see anything right now. I can see 2 chats that come up. So what I catch, I'm throwing up. If I miss any questions after the show ends, guys, put it in the comments. I'll answer it for you. Or at the end of the show, I'll take and set time, some time aside, and we'll try to answer your questions for you. Because I can't see anything right now except for 2 little chat bars and me and Lisa. I can't even see my whatever you call it, my panel right now, because I've got my notes pulled up over it. So, asking you to speculate, do you believe the little girl was in danger? Do you think that they were planning on taking her?
It's hard to tell, but we've heard stories where they've done that before. So I can only assume that that was their interest in her.
I believe that she was fixing to be a victim. I really do. Uh,
Mm.
and another question that we can even ask from that is, do you think that they were taking her? Okay, so let's break it down to this. I want your opinion. I'm going to throw you under the bus, Lisa.
All right.
So let's put it like this, and I want you to weigh both ideas from an animal point of view and from a fallen angel point of view. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, so, do you believe that if, let's just say, they were planning on taking the child? Okay, so because we have enough evidence through 411 and everything, we can pretty much know that if they were trying to communicate with her, they'd broke the window, they were in the process of removing the window, they were planning on taking the little girl. Okay, but the question
Mm-hmm.
is, do you believe they were taking the little girl as an act of revenge, as a very high IQ person or evil being would do, or was it an animalistic thing as to, did they see her as a food source like these other children we see that are taken that show predation and are consumed part-time. What would you, why do you think they do that? Do you think it was you made us mad, or was the child an opportunity?
Could be both. I would say I would say both. Um, I mean, it's hard to say, right? What their motive was, but
A lot of
I
people in
know it's
chat are
scary
saying,
either way.
a lot of people in chat are saying revenge. And, well, I say a lot of people, I can see two people at a time. And that's what I'm seeing is revenge, revenge, revenge. Um, you know, I believe that they are from the fallen. And I believe that if they were to do that, it would be both. I agree with you. I think that, it would be revenge. And hey, it's also food, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's a terrible thing to think about.
That's horrible. Poor little girl.
Well, when I was growing up, there was a time that happened at my granny's house that I witnessed. I've spoke about this before. We were sitting in the front room, and while we're sitting in the front room, there was a lot of nights that we would leave the front door open. The windows were up. Now we had the old wooden square windows that had the little like half moon lock at the top. You spun around, and
Right.
we would open the windows. The windows did not have what's it called, bug screen on them. So we would just open the windows because we didn't have air conditioning. It was hot, and that's how we cooled off. Granny had trees all around the house, and it was nothing for whatever these things were to crawl up into the trees. And one night, she would sit on the couch facing the front door, and you could look through the other door into the other bedroom, and you could see the window. And I would normally sit on the floor in front of her, looking at her. And we were visiting, and she just looked at me, and she's like, I think my cousin was there. She's like, don't act like anything's wrong. Just act normal. Um, they're sitting out there in the trees, and they're watching us. So it sends a chill down your back. She gets up. She walks over
I
to the
can
front
imagine.
door. Oh, yeah, it scared me to death. She walks over. She shuts the front door, locks it, takes a butter knife, sticks it through the door frame, in front of the door. She walks into the bedroom. We're watching her walk into the bedroom. Reaches up, goes to pull the window down. And whenever she does, the window goes half down. And it's like she's fighting something, like she's struggling to get the window down. And it seemed like it lasted forever. I'm sure it didn't last forever. But come to find out, whatever was outside didn't want her to shut that window. It was pushing up on the window while she was pulling down on it. That was a really scary night. That was a bad night,
Yeah,
you know?
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it wanted to come inside, or it didn't want her to shut the window anyways, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it enjoyed listening to us or watching us because it knew that when we shut the windows, the heavy blankets would go up.
That's what I was just gonna say. They were
Right,
watching you and they wanted to watch you, so they knew the routine, I think, that once you closed the windows, then the blankets went up and they wouldn't be able to observe you anymore. And
right.
oh, that's
That is so
creepy.
weird. Sharon, her link should work. I'm on the same link, and Lisa's on the same link. I think Lisa went in on the co-host link, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be working. It's showing that it's working. Uh, so let me check real quick. Let me check the link. I just clicked on the link. Yeah, Amanda, the link's working. I just clicked on it on my other channel, and it took me straight backstage. So it should be working. Uh, so after the bedroom incident, Tim, got pretty upset. His wife was pretty upset. Do not blame them at all. Trying to come into your daughter's bedroom at night, it's a creature. It's trying to interact. You're welcome, Sharon. It's trying to, Sharon, thank you so much for all you do and all you moderators. It does so much trying to get in. I would be upset. So Tim decides, I'm evacuating my family, right? This is too much. So
Mm-hmm.
Tim moves his wife and children to stay with relatives for their safety, while he and his brother Michael, they arm themselves. Now, I am not going to use the word they use here because they use the word assault rifle. That does not exist. There is no such thing as an assault rifle to
I read
defend the
that too.
home. So they went and got semi-automatic weapons. That would be the correct way to put it. There's no such thing as an assault rifle. A rifle cannot go out and commit assault without a human. Anyways, that's for the Outdoor Channel. So, anyways, they went and got semi-automatic weapons. Yeah, I probably just gave away how I vote, didn't I? The shoot. So after they do that in mid-January, and now I done the best I could, Lisa, because I'm a stickler for dates and times and etc. But I found that approximately around the 15th through the 20th of May, Tim claims he shined a light on a charging creature about 70 yards away, and he fired his rifle, believing that he had hit it. Now, whenever you take that into thought, again, look at the scenario. And this is what I see whenever I look at the scenario right now, whenever I'm looking at this. So you have, and backtrack just a little bit to kind of set it up, Lisa. Then I'm going to let you take over, talk for a minute, and give some of your information. I want to go horse. But this is a good case. This is a very good case of typical Bigfoot occupying your property. So we know that they were screaming in the hills. They planted the peas. The peas brought the deer brought the Bigfoot stole the deer, the lock on the freezer. The Bigfoot got mad, tried to come into the house. Now that he's moved his wife and daughter away, where they were trying to remove the daughter from her bedroom, they become even more increasingly angry, to the point to where, and you can see in his statement here, he is charged by one at only 70 yards away. And to a lot of people, 70 yards seems like a long ways away. Trust me, when I'm boots on the ground, 70 yards is not a long ways away. And Herbert will know this. Herbert, we're going to talk a little bit of law. There's what they call a 21-foot radius for an officer. And that is where you can use justifiable homicide for somebody that has a knife, particularly a knife, because odds are they will get to you and hurt you with that knife before you will be able to draw your weapon and react. So within that 21 feet is considered your area right there to be able to do what needs to be done justifiably. So Herbert will actually understand that. And he'll probably, I'm sure, put out another post to go even further on it, because he'll know more of the civil state of it than what I do. So the aggression, Lisa. Why is the aggression ramping up to now being charged? Is it because I told him, no, you can't have the meat, and now I'm telling you, no, you can't have the child? Is it,
Huh. I think that's a lot. It has a lot to do with it. I think they thought by this time they'd scare them off,
right?
and they were holding their ground. So I think that's probably why they became more aggressive. I don't know.
So,
Because even though they were being shot at, they really didn't leave.
You know,
I
I'm
heard
glad
one
you.
was hit, right? There was a blood trail that they followed
Well,
when
there's an
BFRO
argument.
got there.
Yeah, there's an argument over that. That there is an argument over what you're talking about, and I have that down. And I'm glad you brought that up because you you hit on something very important about the shooting. So at Granny's house, right? Whenever these things would come up, we would shoot up into the air. Sometimes that would drive them back a little bit. It wouldn't make them leave, but they would go back further into the hog pasture or to the field. Uh,
Hmm.
there was times that we did fire directly at them. Uh, sometimes they would leave for the night, and if you felt like you hit one, sometimes they would be gone for a couple of days. Now, a lot of the times, the weapons that I would be firing or they would be firing were not weapons that you would expect to do a lot of damage at long range. They were shotguns most of the time, so they probably just got a really good burning, you know. But they
Hmm.
knew it hurt. They knew it hurt, so they would leave, and they would be gone for a day or two. We give you a little bit of a break. Uh, these at his house to me seem very aggressive because as we go on, it seems like they get even more and more aggressive. Uh, so there was, the time that you was talking about. Uh, let's see, make
When he
sure I'm
did
getting this
hit
right.
one.
Yeah, whenever following the shot, Tim and Michael reported hearing eerie wails and guttural chatter from multiple creatures in the timber for several hours after he had shot the semi-automatic rifle at whatever they were. Now, if he, was calling it the AW, which I disagree with, most of the time those are going to be, one or two calibers, a 7.62 by 39 or a 5.56. So both of them are going to have, pretty good range, pretty good penetration, and enough to probably cause a fatal wound on most normal animals at especially a distance, I would say under, 200 yards. So I would say that one was probably injured pretty bad because of the guttural talking. And they said it was wailing, like it was crying. I mean, that would make me think that it was in pain, right?
Sure, I would imagine. Um, I thought I read that when he did shoot the one, that the chattering and screams were coming from the wood line.
Uh-huh.
So there was several there
Yeah, he
when
said
that
that there
happened.
yeah, he said there was guttural talk in the tree line, and there was ones back to the back of the house that was answering them also. So there
Uh-huh.
was quite a few there.
We're pretty much surrounded. It's terrifying.
And I think whenever we go out, boots on the ground, and we do hear these things, that you're if you see one, there's five. You know what I mean? There's probably four others you're not seeing.
That's probably true, yeah.
So after he fired, the brothers find a trail of blood in the woods the next day. Now, the BFR investigators would later conclude that their theory was it was likely from a deer kill rather than from wounding a Bigfoot. But here's the thing. Everybody in chat's going to love this. We've done our homework, guys. When the DNA come back, the blood work came back inconclusive.
Interesting.
So, with that being said, Lisa, you take the floor for a second and let me know what you think up to this point about everything. What is your thoughts?
Oh gosh. I
Give a
don't know what I
woman's
would
a
have
woman's
done.
perspective. And I'm going to pause and take a drink while you have the floor for a second.
From a woman's perspective, I I definitely would have left with the kids, like like the woman did. Um, Gosh, I don't know. I I'm not sure how long they lived there after all this happened, but I don't know if I could have lived there for very long, especially with kids. Um, that's a rough thing to be run out of your home by creatures that you can't control and are unpredictable, and it's just, gosh, it's nothing I want to go through, you know? Can't imagine.
So we're getting really close to the part that I found that I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about also is they said as the nights grew colder, the situation became more perilous as winter started to come on. The family's children claimed to have seen strange figures standing in the tree line, and large unseen animals growled at them from the property bushes and the tree lines. The family's dogs behaved strangely, as if they were afraid, and refused to enter certain parts of the yard. And then, in the dead of winter, a community member vanished without a trace just down the road from the Humphreys farm, not even a mile away. The Humphreys family, after this happened, left the property and moved to Texas, vowing never to return to the Kiamichi Mountains. We're going to talk about the part that I haven't heard anybody talk about. First, I'd like to say that my mom had a dog also in the house that it would act very strange whenever these creatures would come around. The dog did not dislike them. The dog actually liked them and wanted to go outside to be with them. Uh,
Yeah, that's something that I think we've heard in other stories that I can't understand that.
right.
You know, what kind of hold do they have on your pets that they're not? I mean, sometimes they are, but a lot of
Right.
times we hear that they're not afraid and that they're not afraid to be with them or go outside where they are. That's something I don't understand.
And then it's like some dogs can't stand them. Some dogs just want to run them off. You know,
Yeah, that's true too.
it's really weird.
It is. They act differently, you know, in different situations.
So here's the part, guy, that I have not heard anybody talk about that is part of this case. There was a guy named Jeffrey Ben. He was a well known local man from Pushmataha County who went missing in December of 2001, shortly after the peak of the Honobia Bigfoot siege. The incident in December of 2001, this is right around the same area as the escalation had happened. Jeffrey's truck was found crashed off of Nine Pine Road, just a short distance from the area where the Humphreys family experienced their famous siege. It was a very suspicious scene. While the truck was off the road, authorities noted the damage was minor and there was no blood found at the scene, leading authorities to believe that whatever Jeffrey had hit must not have been hit hard enough to cause it to bleed, but only enough to slightly damage his truck enough to cause him to stop to get out to see what he had hit. His remains were not found until March of 2006, 5 years later, by a logger about 2 miles from where his truck was originally located. He was drugged 2 miles from where his truck was at. Upon the investigation of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, the OSBI has officially kept the case open. The case is still open and was ruled as a homicide. Jeffrey suffered numerous broken bones that appeared to be twisted, not caused by blunt force injury. They were broken by twisting, and appeared that he was almost crushed or beaten to death with a large object. His spine was severed in several different locations that indicated high pressure breaks. Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's
I mean,
overkill, I would say.
right. So, it would almost leave you to speculate that he's driving down the road and something's crossing the road and you hit it. And maybe he thought it was a hitchhiker, because they do look so much like a human, that he got out to see if they were okay. And it just bear hugs him, right? Just grabs him.
I don't know. Hmm.
And then, even going back to what the Humphreys had went through, right? They said, the final straw was when large rocks and stones were hurled at the family's home's walls. The roof in the middle of the night would bow with something walking on top of their house. Sound familiar, Lisa? The wives and
Yes.
children were terrified and unable to sleep. And the brothers knew they had to take action. They introduced different light barriers, guys. This is very important for those of you who do boots on the ground. The light barriers in this situation did not work. They even used floodlights, hoping to scare them off at nighttime. They said they would fire warning shots also. It would drive them back, but would not drive them away. We fired several rounds at them. We would shine the floodlights at them, and they would only try to dodge the lights and to move closer to us tactically as we would try to drive them away.
Huh.
These things are not scared. I
They
mean,
they weren't deterred by much, were they?
no. Because, how many reports do you read where people say lights run them away? Lights always work. Lights are your best weapon. I don't think so.
Or cameras?
Right. I mean, am I going to go out there and trust something's not going to get me because I got a camera or a light in my hand? Hell no. I mean,
Yeah.
on my investigations, you always hear me, hey, I'm putting the big light up because I'm fixing to put something else in my hand, right? I'm not
Right.
going to trust my life to a flashlight that it's scared of a light, or, Bigfoot's coming at me. And I'm going to be like, hey, Bigfoot, I got a camera. You better back up, buddy. No,
Right.
no, I'm not going to put my life on the line for that. I mean, oh, that's a good thing right there. That is a good question. He says, it makes me wonder if they unknowingly hurt one of their young ones. That's a very good question. And maybe that's why they were trying to
Oh,
take the Humphreys young one. Maybe it was, yeah, that's a very good question or
very
statement.
good point.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's very good. Here, let's ask Mom what she thinks since she
Who
lived
said
through all
that?
that. Boo.
I'm sorry?
Hey, Mom, when you was at Granny's, when you was at Granny's growing up, if you would have been outside and you saw Bigfoot, would you have trusted a flashlight or a camera to keep him back away from you? She said she would just very quietly turn and walk into the house like she hadn't seen him. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to stay out there to be like, guys, your flashlight is not a lightsaber, right?
Well,
I
even stories we've heard, there's people that have claimed to have shot them, and even that doesn't deter them. You know,
right. Yeah,
what's the flashlight going to do? Blind them for a second
I have told a story of
as
me
they're
shoot
charging you?
right, and I have told a story of me shooting one. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a hunter. By everything that I've ever hunted, by the blood trail, the color of the blood, the aspiration bubbles in it. whatever I shot should not survived. That's just coming from experience. Did I kill one? I don't know. Did I shoot something that was bipedal that fell and ran away with something else that was huge? Yeah. Did it appear to be arterial blood? Yep. Did it have signs of aspirated bubbles in it? Yep. So that's all I can tell you about that. But they said these creatures were enormous, hair-covered animals that looked like upstanding walking gorillas, but also were said to look like Neanderthals. They had human-like features in their face and hands. I mean, if you think about it, and you put yourself in their situation, you see something like that looking in your window, man, that's going to mess with you bad.
It would me.
Right. Now, one of the brothers said that he believed that whenever he shot this creature 3 times with the semi-automatic rifle that he was using, it emerged from the tree line, screamed at him, and all of them started throwing rocks at the brothers. There was an all-out fight ensued that night. They were firing at him. They were screaming, throwing rocks at him. I mean, you pretty much had a shootout, right?
It was a battle for sure.
Right. I mean, the situation became a shootout with the brothers firing and the creatures are throwing rocks and they did bust out their windows. They done damage to the side of their house. They done damage to their roof. These creatures during this fight, and this will give you all some goosebumps because it gave me some goosebumps. They tried to enter their home during this fight. They were trying to enter the home and break down the doors when this ensued. This was almost a fight to the death.
Probably would have been.
Oh, if they wouldn't have had the semi-automatic weapons, can you imagine what would have happened that night? We could only imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
They even said, the following nights were even riskier than the months before, as the animals now clearly attempted to get a hold of my brother and tried to pull him under the house at one point. The brothers stood their ground, determined to protect their family and their property from the mysterious creatures that had taken their land. But in the end, the creatures prevailed. They took the property. And I'll let you say something before we get into what the BFRO said, because the BFRO, they came down and they done their investigation also.
Right. And I think the advice of the BRFO to them was, again, to get rid of the food source that was attracting the deer, that was bringing this battle. And I think they did. I read that they did. And it took a little time, but eventually the deer didn't come around anymore. And so their troubles eased after a while with these creatures.
Do you think
That's
that
what I read.
maybe the reason they left was just what you had encountered? You're like, man, if it happened once, maybe this will happen again. And I don't want to, get caught outside, not prepared for it next time, and you turn around and there's 10 of them circling you, right?
That would be a nightmare for sure.
The BFRO said that one of the things in this case that was unlike any other Bigfoot encounter was the creatures in this case. They were persistent and harassing for over 2 years. That peaked in 2000. And from what they have witnessed in their investigations is Bigfoot doesn't stay on the property. He usually stays a couple of nights and then flees. Sorry, BFRO, I disagree. Uh, I don't believe Bigfoot disappears from areas that they occupy. Uh, I'm basing that on personal experience of people that I know personally that's been through it, and they don't just come up and then leave. From what I've experienced, I can't speak, for what everybody's experienced, but from what I've personally experienced, the BFRO believed that the target was the creatures were initially attracted to the outdoor freezer containing the deer meat. Again, I don't agree with that. I believe that the deer meat was a secondary source. I believe that the peas bringing the deer to the property was what initially started it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that, the escalation happened whenever the family told them pretty much by locking the freezer, we're not going to allow you creatures to have any more free food. And I believe that is what caused the aggression. I believe that Boo had a really good statement in chat whenever they made the comment that maybe one of their children was hurt during the shooting. And that could have been why they was after one of the Humphreys' children, was a payback revenge. That's, I believe, is very plausible. I think that the family done the right thing by leaving whenever they noticed that the Bigfoot had become very interested in their child. I think, was a good time to pull away.
I wonder, um, as long as the stories of these creatures and other creatures in the area, such as Bigfoot, I wonder if maybe other families were gifting them maybe for decades, and this family moves into a homestead. Who knows who lived there before them and what they did?
Right.
Maybe they assumed that the freezer full of meat was a gift. And then when the gift was taken away, like we've heard, how some people will gift and then something happens to them, they get sick or something, and they can't gift anymore, and then they get aggressive, really aggressive, when that stops.
It's almost like you're denying them something, it's like telling them no, it's like, you can't do
Right,
that.
but I'm just wondering about gifting the people that lived there before.
Mhm.
What if they knew about these creatures, and what if they were friendly with them? What if they gifted them? And so they were used to coming around for, whatever it was they were giving them. I don't know.
I think that's very possible. I think that happens a lot. That's why I tell people I don't think gifting is a good idea. I think it's dangerous.
I look at
Let's
it
see.
too.
Who is it that gifted that? I can't read it because my screen is so small right now. But I do want to think. Are you able to see?
I cannot see.
Let
Too
me see if I
small.
can. See if I can pull it up here. I got such a small little screen right now I have to work with.
Is that Daisy?
Daisy. Yeah, Daisy, thank you so much for that donation,
Thank
and
you,
God
Daisy.
bless you for that. And yes, I do agree with you. Bigfoot is real. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Uh,
Thank you, Daisy. Appreciate you.
so the BFRO came in, they investigated it. Some of the things they came up with was deer migration, the Humphreys homestead set on a natural geographic bottleneck. where deer migration was funneled by local fences. I don't think that was the case. I think that the deer were brought in. Uh, uh,
By sweet peas.
right, and if you, it's kind of like the field of dreams. If you plant it, they will come. Right.
Exactly.
Uh, the competition. The family was highly successful hunters, often shooting deer directly from their porch. Investigators theorized that by significantly reducing the local deer population, the family inadvertently deprived the creatures of their primary food source, leading them to a raid. The family supply in retaliation of desperation. I agree halfway. Again, I think that the attack wasn't caused by them just taking the deer from the Bigfoot. I believe the attack was caused by two things: denying them access to the food and then shooting at them. I think that probably escalated it a little bit.
Definitely.
Uh, One of the strongest aspects of this case is the involvement of Roger Roberts. He was a respected private investigator. Uh, he was actually a licensed private investigator. He had a very clean and good background. Uh, Eyewitness, right here. Roberts and his fellow investigators did not just interview the family. They claimed to have heard the same vocalizations and seen the red eyes themselves while they were on the site. Now, what does that tell you right there?
That it was very active,
Oh, yeah,
even even when new people came to the property, it didn't scare them away.
right. And you've got a third party now corroborating what you're saying you're seeing.
Right.
So, to me, that's pretty heavy evidence. Uh, Roxanne, thank you so much for that. God bless you for that. Thank you so much. You know, so I'm gonna I'm gonna put a theory of mine out, guys, and this is the part where I said I was going to drive this home a little bit because I do believe this is important. D.A. Roberts concurs with me and agrees with me on this, and we will see what you think about this. So, I have a theory on the moon phase and the activity of these creatures. So, let's look at it. Uh, let's look at this night. It's very interesting in the phase of that night, okay? And I want everybody in chat to try to hang with me and let me know if you agree with me also. And I'm the one that started this moon phase theory, so I still stick with it. I still believe that I am correct, even though some people say I'm not. I believe that I can prove with more tangible evidence that I'm correct based on actual true events. So uh, on January 21st of 2000, this is the same day investigators Roger Roberts and Miles arrived at the Humphreys homestead. Now, a lot of you is probably going to go back, and I know some people will, and look at this, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in depth. The moon phase that night of the attack was a full moon. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Mike, there goes your theory down the drain. It doesn't happen on a full moon. You're wrong. It does happen on a full moon, Mike. And I'm not going to say that attacks don't happen on a full moon, but I'm going to say that a majority of them do not. So I'm going to explain what I believe happened that night after really looking at this, and we'll see what y'all think. So there's key details about that night, guys. Yes, it was a full moon that night. There's no question about it. It had a high. The illumination was what 98.8%. So it was bright and it was increasing in brightness. So no doubt that it was a bright moon. But the key details in this that nobody talks about, and this is corroborated by Roger Roberts, Miles, Michael, and Tim at the place, and also by, if you want to look it up, NASA also confirms it by the moon calendar that they keep. So the key details are that night that this attack happened, you had what they called a lunar eclipse. The total lunar eclipse happened on January 21st, 2000, guys. You can check it. Often called the blood moon. Not only a lunar eclipse that night, they had a blood moon. It occurred late that evening and lasted into the early morning of January 21st. The partial phase began at 9:01 p.m. Central Standard Time on January 20th, with the totality occurring between 10:05 and 11:22 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, this was the first full moon of the year, and it was also known as the wolf moon. So we have a super full blood moon that is on the wolf moon of this most violent attack that night. These conditions meant that that night had extreme brightness from a full moon, followed by a dramatic period of darkness that ensued with a reddish light during the eclipse while investigators were reportedly on site. They reported that the moon was extremely bright until the lunar eclipse had happened, and it was as if everything was being looked at through a red lens. It became very low light, very dark, and very hard to see. And that is when they became the most aggressive and approached the house and tried to enter the house.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, even though you had a full moon on that night, you still had a lunar eclipse, a blood moon that still lowered the totality of the illumination of the moon. These creatures acted within the lunar eclipse to attack on the low light. To me, that proves even more that they used the low light to attack and to their advantage. So, if you're a boots on the ground person or an investigator and you want to go out and make a good video and not have any encounters, go out on a full moon. Because if you go out on a waning or a gibbous with, I'm going to say, below 40% illumination, you got a lot higher chance that you're either going to have an encounter, you're going to get ate, or you're going to get hurt. If you go on a very bright full moon, odds are nothing's going to happen. The catfish don't even bite on a full moon night. That's the truth. So, just food for thought. Would you like to say anything to that before we move on to our last segment?
No, I guess not.
Does it make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does.
And it makes you wonder, did they know that was going to happen also? Were they planning for that moment to attack?
I don't know. I wonder how in tune they are with moon phases.
Right. Which I think they are very in tune. To me, they're part of the fallen angels. They're the ones that taught us astronomy, the forbidden knowledge. So, I mean, we could go really far into that also. I just think it all fits so perfectly as to what we, believe they are. And Scott Carpenter and Travis Carpenter, which I talked to Travis today. We're going to be having him on the show here pretty soon. Looking very forward to that. I've got a lot of questions for him, So I'm going to go through these events right here, Lisa, and then I'm going to throw it over to you. I'm going to pause my mic, and I'm going to let you just go with what you found and get everything out there, because I know you've done a lot of research, and I don't want to leave you without being able to use what you found or what you want to say, because I know you put a lot of work into it. So let me go through this right here, and then I'm going to give you the floor, and you can ask me questions if you'd like or whatever, and we'll just go to an open discussion floor after this right here. So they stated that the atmosphere at the homestead was extremely tense, followed by Tim Humphrey's claim that he recently shot a creature during the hours surrounding the lunar eclipse. This is the BFR investigators said it was extremely tense, I would imagine. Arrival and immediate activity. Investigators Roger, Roberts, and Miles arrived on the afternoon of Friday, January 21st. As the sun set and the eclipse cycle began, they reported an immediate sense of being watched from the surrounding tree line. How many times do we hear that? Audio phenomena. Throughout the night, the team and the family reported hearing eerie wails and vocalizations coming from the hillsides. These sounds reportedly increased intensity with the moon began to darken during the eclipse. How interesting. As the moon got darker, guys, the creatures moved in closer. The fading light, right? Then the BFR investigators reported seeing the red eyes. During the periods of the peak darkness, during totality, guys, I'm going to say this again, just because I believe that I'm right on the theory. During the peak darkness, the totality of the eclipse, investigators reported seeing glowing red eyes reflecting in the woods approximately 50 to 70 yards from the house. After that had happened, there was a perimeter breach. Reports indicate the creatures continued their established pattern of hitting the walls of the house, throwing rocks and debris at the house, trying the doorknobs despite the presence of armed investigators and very bright floodlights that had been placed around the home. The floodlights were ripped down and destroyed. Some were found out in the trees, up into the trees, totally destroyed. The investigators said they were afraid for their lives and left the 22nd, never to return.
Well, hmm,
Wow. I mean,
what an experience.
it all fits though. The low light just fits. I mean, and it's not like we're sitting here theorizing it. You have investigators in the field corroborating and proving that that is a true thing that's happening there.
Right?
You
Hmm.
know, so the floor is yours. What did you find? What are your thoughts on this?
What are my thoughts? Well,
Under the bus time.
well, um, we covered just about everything that I wanted to talk about too, but I guess I could go into what I found. Um, I listened to a Choctaw native speak at the conference they have there in Honobia every year, the festival conference, and he was speaking about um, the names that the Choctaw have. He said the local names that they call the Bigfoots in the area, you know, um, things we probably all heard before: boogers, woodburgers, boogeymen, wood devils, mountain devils. He mentioned those. But he also mentioned that Choctaw call it Shampi or Shampi, Shampe, and it means giant hairy man-eating creature. And also the name uh, Honobia, he pronounced it Hunubi, and also Anatubi and Dushatubi means to kill. That's the name of the town. That's what that's named after. It means to kill, and in some translations means crazy killer. But then he said on the positive side, it can also mean a fresh start. And he talked about an investigation that he did for several years on a property near there from 2007 to about 2009. And the report was, excuse me, that some kids kept reporting about seeing a blonde woman at the edge of the forest. So him and another person went out on horseback, and he said suddenly the horse stopped, started shaking, the ears went back. He said it seemed like the horse couldn't decide whether it wanted to go forward or backwards. And then his friend said for him to look over across the field, and that's when he said he saw a blonde Bigfoot. So apparently,
Blonde
according to
Bigfoot.
him, there's a blonde Bigfoot in the area, which I
Wow.
thought was interesting.
I don't see why there wouldn't be though. I mean, people see white ones and brown ones and black ones.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it almost, it's kind of like a pig, right? You see wild pigs, they can be blonde or black or red or whatever.
Hmm.
Hmm. That
I
is
thought that was
interesting.
interesting that the kids were reporting seeing a blonde woman. So maybe it
Yeah.
was a female. I don't know, but um,
Mm.
that's how they described it, which I thought was interesting. So
So, yeah. Wow.
I think there's a lot of different things around there. Like he was talking about shimmering people in the trees and little people as well. It's a very enchanted place, I think,
Wow.
and a lot of history.
There is. And everybody, if you want to see these boots on the ground where we encounter a lot of crazy things, don't forget to catch us over on Rumble, our new channel. We're going to be doing some boots on the ground over there. It is our new channel. We will still continue to do boots on the ground here, but with everything that's going on around in the in the channels, we've decided to do a backup channel over there also on Rumble. So if one of our moderators could please put the link to Rumble in the chat, you're not going to want to miss it because we will be doing a lot of investigating and boots on the ground over there. Boss, yeah, there was a lot of their statements I did disagree with completely. Uh, but yeah, check out our Rumble, guys. Check out our outdoor channel, Wide Open Adventures. We'll try to get those links out to you if any of our moderators have those. For you members out there tonight, you're going to have a special show coming up for you guys. And it was enough that it got Sharon really involved in it today. She was asking a lot of questions about it. So that'll be coming out to our members and Patreon members only. So if you're not a member, you will not be able to access this video because it goes really deep. And it's a story that really blew my mind. And I think you know the one I'm talking about, right, Lisa? Lisa?
I believe so.
The airplane?
Yes,
Yeah.
that one.
That one will be coming out on Patreon only. You got Sharon's attention. So, guys, I'm going to let Lisa give you her final thought about this story. If she believes that it was true, not true, her final synopsis, and I will give you mine just as soon as she gives hers.
Well, I absolutely believe that it's true. Too many witnesses for it not to be, right? Um, hmm. I imagine it still goes on today. I don't know if at this level. I hope not at this level, but after decades and centuries of reports, um, I think it's a pretty good bet that if you visit this area, you're likely to come in contact with something. Um, it's been a long time they've been there, I think.
Thank you, Daisy,
And
for that. I agree with you.
one one thing I did wonder about the family is about the children. It's been about 26 years or so since this happened, right? And I
Uh-huh.
just wonder what their lives are like now from this experience. And I wonder
Oh
if
yeah.
they're curious about these creatures, if they're researchers now. Are they too terrorized to this day? Do they live with PTSD and anxiety, or are they the other end of the spectrum? I'm curious um, how they ended up, and I pray that they got over any traumatization from this. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and do they live in the country now, or do they live in the city? Right.
yeah,
Karen, yes,
exactly.
please get a hold of me. Send me an email or however you can do it on Facebook. I believe I'm Mike McKee. Is that right? I think that's my Facebook. Or Abnormal Investigations. Or you can get a hold of Sharon, Guy, or anybody, and they know how to get a hold of me. So we will figure that out for sure. So my final synopsis on this story is I absolutely believe that it did happen. The reason that I believe it happened is I will agree with Lisa. Lisa is that you have too many witnesses that corroborate the same story, and you also have third party witnesses that also came in that corroborated the story. Um, you know, for somebody just to up and leave their land and to have, even though I'm not a huge supporter of the BFRO, they do have investigators, uh, and that would be a third party source. I believe there are so many and even like what Lisa had even brought up, even today's standards, there is still that is a high activity area. And for it to still have high activity, even after what had happened there, I believe that the totality of circumstances just points in that there is a very probable reason outcome that there is still creatures there. So I'm going to go with it happened, and I believe the story is factual, and I believe you're looking at a real Bigfoot siege that happened to a real family in Oklahoma, and that's what I believe based on the evidence. What do you? Anything you would add to that, Lisa, or take away?
No, I agree. I think there's too much evidence that it's true for it not to be.
There's
And
just too much that just there's too many witnesses. There's too much to corroborate it. There's it's just it had to have
right,
happened. That's what I think.
right.
So, what is tonight? Tonight, guys, what do we got going on coming up? This was Saturday night. Tomorrow night, we are taking off. Well, I'm taking off tomorrow because I'm going to be going live on Wide Open Adventures, guys. If one of the moderators could please drop that link in the chat to Wide Open Adventures. I'm going fishing tomorrow, and I may go live right from the dam with my mom that I'm teaching how to fish. I'm going to teach her how to catch a catfish tomorrow. We'll end up somewhere fishing. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing, but we are going fishing. We're taking the day out tomorrow. Uh, but yeah, we'll.
That'll be fun to watch. I can't wait to watch that.
There's no telling what we're going to end up doing tomorrow, where we'll end up, but we're going fishing. We are going fishing. We got to do some fishing. I
Sounds
need
like
to get
fun.
out and do some fishing, guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, for supporting us on the boots on the ground, and for all you boots on the ground lovers. Tuesday night at 8:30, boots on the ground. Guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night, and God bless.
Good night. God bless, guys.
Oh, and don't forget forgot something. It's very important. Go over and follow us on Rumble for Boots on the Ground over there, guys. You don't want to miss it because we'll be doing live ones over there also.
where the shadows play. Stephen Michael Beakey lighting up the way. Abnormal investigations, whispers in the trees. With boots on the ground, I'm chasing mysteries. Shining lights into the dark, unveiling what's unseen. Through the haunting silence, I walk where others dream. I'm on the ancient woods where legends come alive. I'll uncover the truth, feel the shadows thrive. Footsteps on the trail, echoes in the night, searching for the secrets hidden from the light. Cryptids roam the wild,